Fetty.
One of the things that has happened over the last 3 years or so, Stugotz, is through a whole set of circumstances away from work and around the building of a business that I've just, people have heard me lament how it is that I've just sort of had difficulty summoning enthusiasm for just about anything. Because of what the last 3 years have been.
Right.
But there have been a couple of strange places recently where something has gotten stirred, and I'm like, how did that get there? I'm reacting unreasonably to that as someone who's 55 years old and has been a little bit dead inside for a bit.
Joe Mauer, Hall of Fame?
No, but it's close to that. It's one, the sheer rage I feel unexpectedly and with a lack of self-awareness when I watched the game, give my analysis, and then am accused of not having watched the game.
Oh,
like what the anger that it summons in me.
Those 10 points again
is uncommon. But also, and this one really surprised me. I didn't see this coming from any angle. Chris Wittynham's face, just its arrival, used to make me smile. But he has taken such a horrible heel turn here where he is doubling down so stubbornly on his anti-Panther takes that he has now become a full-blown Rangers fan.
Yep.
He has betrayed everything we are. He has left the nest. We are all loving and proud of him.
He's donning a blue sweater right now.
And he's just decided to do the worst of things, which he's become a Rangers fan. He's actively rooting against the Panthers.
He also has a perfect face. Very smooth skin. You need a blemish on your face somewhere.
Overrated.
Yeah.
He has de-aged considerably.
Right.
In the last however long it's been since he left. It's like the opposite of what happens when the president takes office, right? He left office and then he just de-aged.
When he was here and had to work with Stugotz, his face was blemished just from the stress of having to deal with all of Stugotz's lies.
You need a mirror? I mean.
And Wittyngham, I'm sorry, did you leave because of me or Stugotz?
The whole thing, really.
How is it that you have arrived at being a Ranger fan? Because it's infuriating.
I would say considerable stubbornness. Let's start there. I'm a very stubborn guy. I get my heels dug in, and I got my heels dug in when the Panthers were 3-1 down in the first round of last year's playoffs. I realized at some point in last year's regular season that I just didn't want the Panthers to win anymore. And then once we got through the playoffs, as each time they kept advancing, it became worse for me. And my friends started hounding me more and more about this. Then I realized I'm just going to dig my heels in even more. And then I've moved to Connecticut in the last 6 months to work for CBS. I'm very close to Madison Square Garden. It's a quick little jaunt over from the Amtrak to Penn Station.
Oh, God.
And so
I
can go see my local team. And I've decided that the New York Rangers are going to be my spite team. And now I've invested like $400 in spite. It's great.
Witty, would you agree that the epitome of your stubbornness is your continuing loud wrong take on the Tkachuk-Huberdeau trade?
Yeah, I would say that's the epitome of it. But also, I mean, what? He's got a goal in this round, one goal in this round. Before that, he had an empty netter, a goal and a defeat. I mean, what has he done in these playoffs? All this guy does is bully the opposition. It's the most tedious thing to watch.
Sent him
when
to
you
the
watch
Stanley Cup
after
final.
every single time that there's a puck covered, there's an elbow, there's a punch in the face, there's some words. I love nothing more than Chris Kreider last night grabbing that guy's mouthpiece and chucking it in the stands. I wish he would do it every single time. I wish he would run out of mouthpieces.
It actually bounced
was
back.
ridiculous.
If it went into the stands, it would have been a game misconduct.
Chucking it into the stands.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, you've already outlined it, so there's no gotcha. This is the most stubborn thing I've ever seen. And what's weird is, like, yeah, we hound you now, but we've been trying to get you back. And the second you throw your hands up, say, I'm sorry, I was wrong about that. We'd welcome you back. We would.
No, you wouldn't.
We would take you back.
We would.
Yes. You were a part of our circle.
Because then you'd make me celebrate Tkachuk things, and I don't want to. I don't like the guy. I will never like the guy. You cannot make me like the guy. If I said right now, okay, you know what? I'm back with the Panthers. I'm in. You're gonna make me like the guy. I don't want to. Don't make me like him. And don't make me like the coach either, because I don't want to either.
But Witty's local team just won the Biden Cup, so he's
right.
doing better.
And we just got to split away from home in this big Eastern Conference
While getting
finals.
outplayed the entire time.
Getting outplayed. Who cares? Let's talk about the results. We got the results. And also outplayed. There've been 3 overtime games in this series.
Yeah.
Who cares? What? How do you define outplayed? The only game in which there was a decisive margin was Game 1, and the decisive margin came from an own goal and an empty netter. Like there has been no decisive margin in this series. It has been incredibly tight. Both goaltenders have been brilliant, and two of the overtime games went to the Panthers. 2 of the overtime games went to the Rangers, and 1 went to the Panthers.
Just they're fans that stick with their team through thick and thin, and you were one of those fans. To have your hill to die on be Jonathan Huberdeau,
Just gross.
who stinks,
Awful.
who's regarded as the worst contract in the league right now. All this for Jonathan Huberdeau.
Yeah,
it's not like they
Okay,
built you
like
a stadium and bilked you and sold off the team and had a fire sale. It's not any of that. It was Jonathan Huberdeau.
Even Huberdeau said it was a good trade.
I don't think it's just about Huberdeau, if I'm going to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like there's more an indictment on you guys. You drove this guy away from his own hometown team to root against them to lose, than it is an indictment on him.
We didn't make him.
Well,
get
he's telling you guys have annoyed him to the point that he wants to watch his hometown team lose.
I think he
that's correct.
vocalized that this happened something. This
you made
was
him
something
move to
internal.
Connecticut to get away from this.
He was a Panther fan last regular season. This wasn't something that happened after the trade. Like, he still was rooting for the Panthers throughout an entire season. I have photographic evidence of him going to a game with my wife and my daughter. I didn't mean to gender reveal there. I'm sorry about that. My wife and my child. And I went with Chris Wittyngham to a Ducks game, and we were rooting for the Panthers. And then something after that, it went off the rails where just Matthew Tkachuk drove this man crazy by proving, without a shadow of a doubt, that his hill to die on is a fallacy. It's Jonathan Huberdeau. They made a great trade.
But it wasn't just the trade of Matthew Tkachuk for Jonathan Huberdeau. It was, I'm telling you guys, it was that first game broadcast of last regular season when Paul Maurice and the entire broadcast crew tried to tell me that everything you just watched for the last 2 years was nonsense hockey that could never win and blah, blah, blah. And we've got to be more physical. We got to play playoff-style hockey from day one. I really like that team. I really like watching them. I really like going to every game. I don't like watching this team anymore. This team's not fun to watch anymore.
Oh, you say that? You're getting
they don't
outshot by 100, 5v5. Are you watching the Rangers play? Because you're leaning into that style right now.
Mike, we try to play. We try to pass the
try
puck.
to play?
Yeah. We try to create chances, and we're being overwhelmed right now a little bit.
Well,
we're going to
create
keep going.
them then,
That first period last night was,
don't
was
how about
a sign
this?
of how
Don't
you
try.
play
Don't
proper
try to
hockey.
create chances. Actually, create them.
Yeah,
Well,
take
were-
shots on goal.
They were
Bobrovsky
leading
has
the
more
series
points than
until
Mika
last night.
Zibanejad.
The Rangers were
Pucks on goal.
winning the
Yeah,
series
just
until
keep
overtime.
flinging the puck at the goaltender.
Yeah,
and
that's
pretend
playoff
like you're
hockey.
creating
You
chances.
familiar?
That's what you
do.
do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm telling you what happened
Glory
here,
hunter.
and it happens, Mike. I'm
and
telling
chase,
you. Look at the
please.
video of Wittyngham, okay? The Mecca is what happened to Wittynham.
Yeah.
The Mecca can get anyone,
Yeah.
and it got Chris
They
Wittyngham.
lost
way,
that
guys,
game
It doesn't matter. He had fun.
to the Panthers. They lost that game.
The atmosphere last night. How can you guys defend what the Ammer whatever arena provided last night
Oh,
in
it was
terms of
poppin'.
atmosphere? No, for
for the
stop
Rangers.
It. The first
Yeah,
two periods,
I can't
like
defend.
the Rangers fans were the ones making all the noise. You can tell that arena was tight.
Well, I would say.
Tight.
So
Yeah.
was New York
Yeah.
before you guys got that overtime win in game 2.
Yeah, get his ass,
burn.
Chris.
Yeah.
So, like, we had, as you know,
Did you guys have a fun time at Game 2 watching your team lose?
Up until
yeah, we did have a
Actually
fun time.
did.
I just love you know what's happened. There's a bunch of annoying New Yorkers that have moved down here, and to even the odds, we just sent your ass.
He is he's doing very well with the condescending tea. It's a great character to make a point and then sip the tea with
just
the
him.
tag hanging out.
And I think you're wearing makeup, asshole.
If anyone else,
I think
does it,
I think you
it'd be
put on some
Wittyngham.
foundation for this hit.
Yeah, I
You
see
got
that.
foundation
He is
on you.
wearing makeup.
He's
Yeah.
being
Pot
accused
kettle
of
situation.
Well, I mean, I'm under lights. I got an Italian T-zone. What's his excuse? That is a filter. It's a filter. Yeah, there
there
you
it
go.
is.
He is copped to it.
There it is.
Amin,
That's
someone
a pro.
via Twitter is writing, please find the one of many clips of Amin talking about his son playing basketball or his twin daughter getting mad at Billy Gill for a gender reveal that he's revealed multiple times is nasty work.
Yeah, let's keep talking about it, Dan. I really want this to continue to be a topic on the show today. I really love that. I love you and Mike hearing me in the break say, guys, yeah, I really don't like talking about that, and say, you know what would be funny if we just keep talking.
I didn't
We
hear you
acknowledge
say
what
that.
happened awkwardly on the air.
I didn't hear you say that.
Did you say that? I mean,
I did.
'cause I didn't hear it either.
Okay, my bad. I didn't hear it.
What are their names?
This is the sort of tension that has made me de-age.
To be fair, I only revealed that I had a daughter there.
I'm moving to Connecticut next.
You're welcome. We'll be at the next Rangers game together.
Wittyngham, you are doing things with fandom that I don't think are allowed. I don't think you're. Put it on the poll, Juju, at Le
Tried and
Batard
sup.
Show. Are you allowed to go from being a Panther fan to a Ranger fan in 1 year?
Well, Witty, what happens if the Panthers advance to the Cup and they play a team from the Western Conference? Are you going to root for the Panthers? What are you
No,
going
he's
to do?
going to root against them.
God, no.
Ever
But-
If only
again?
he had
Really?
a recent experience to borrow from. He was rooting for the Knights.
Man.
Yeah, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go to fanatics.com, see what Dallas Stars gear is on discount, and that'll be the gear you see me in next time. Are the Dallas Stars winning that series? I don't really watch hockey, if I'm being
Done
honest.
with this guy.
I love that.
Well, and if we're being honest, for the first time, the reason he left the company is because he has 13 grid of death punishments he owes, and he didn't want to pay any of them, and so he just left the company.
How did Witty leave and turn into Stugotz? I don't understand how this happened.
It's a great path upward.
Yes.
Next thing that Witty will do is not write a book and
No
get a bunch
refunds.
of
I'm
money
telling you right
from
now.
our
I mean,
listeners.
you might want a refund. You're not getting a refund. I don't care if you ask for
There's
one. I don't care
already-
if you got the
there's
money.
Stugotz.
I'm coming to get it
Stugotz, I
back.
contributed to a chapter. How is it not being published yet?
November, December, holidays. That's how we do it in the book world.
You keep saying no refunds while people are sending us proof that they've already gotten refunds
So
they
they
didn't want
think,
because
yeah.
they want the book. They
Right.
don't want the refunds.
They'll get it in November. I mean, that's when it's coming out.
But they're getting their refunds now. They won't get it in November if they're getting their refunds.
Right. Well, I'll send them a book and charge them double. I mean,
There
what do
you
you
go.
want from me? Yeah.
No book for them.
Yeah.
If they're asking for a refund, write them off the list. No longer eligible for a book.
Whittingham, good talking to you. Not really.
Yeah, not really. Get out of here.
If you guys want to watch today, the UEFA Europa Conference League final, Fiorentina taking out Olympiacos, I'll be on the call on Paramount Plus. 3 p.m. if you want to check it out.
Yesterday, we celebrated the reign of incompetence over umpiring that ended with Angel Hernandez's negotiated retirement. What are you shaking your head about, Billy?
Sad day.
It is
I agree.
heartbreaking.
I was sad about that.
He will be bringing his bad judgment back to Pembroke Pines here and being a blight on South Florida in retirement. Very few people in the history of incompetence have been allowed to work for as long, signaling the strength of an umpires union that is really a reason to root against unions. Just, I'm
Be
not
careful there.
I'm not anti-union. I'm just saying this kind of incompetence.
Anti-umpire union.
I'm anti this kind of incompetence being rewarded for 3 decades, where everybody in the sport was like, this guy's bad at his job. Nobody here respects his judgment. Why is he allowed to be a judge for 30 years? When all of us can agree on nothing except Angel Hernandez is bad at this. Finally, they run him off yesterday, negotiated settlement that is filed as retirement that needed to be immediate. Couldn't wait a day, couldn't wait till the end of season. Just right away, get out. And let's just play some clips here. Give me an assortment. We have an assortment of things he's gotten wrong, both audio and video of people going crazy because he's been terrible. He's especially bad behind home plate, but he's bad all over. Of just complaining about the refs and umpires. Give me another clip. There are thousands.
Whoa. 2-1. And, oh my goodness.
Late movement.
2-2.
Oh, man.
You have got to be kidding me. What in the world?
3-pitch strikeout, all balls.
Looked like a strike to me.
That's all. I mean, look, when I grew up, the strike zone was ankles to letters. You know what I mean?
There you go.
Angel stayed true to that.
Yeah.
All of those pitches were far outside. Give me another one of just incredulous players and announcers.
Don't do it, Angel.
Fringe
Don't
and
do it, Angel.
Whoa, man.
And a strike 3 call on a pitch that Yadiel.
Oh, he likes those outside pitches.
But it gives you that edge.
I mean, I would have swung at all of these.
Yeah.
It's a great job framing by that catcher.
Let's low it in. Ball.
Check with
Said he went around.
He's at third base.
Let's see that one from a side angle, though.
That's so great.
Putting him in a bad spot.
Put it on the poll, please, Juju, at Le Batard Show. And I'm sorry for being slow to this. Hubert don't is more like it. Yes or no? Because Greg Cote wanted to get that in there. He was anti-Huberdeau, and so he made him Uber don't.
Yeah, tried to sneak that in.
Billy,
Treat.
I thought that perhaps I could get some opinion out of you on everything that is happening here with not LeBron James, but the reports that Bronny has declined workouts for everyone except the Lakers and the Suns. Stugotz has a list of top 5 teams that LeBron has given a subtle wink to.
Yeah, a nod, Dan. A
Okay,
nod, yes.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
A flirtatious nod, not a wink, just a silent communication. This report, though, I'm assuming
Is absurd. The Bronny report is absurd. Bronny, we've been told back and forth, one, he's this great prospect. But then he wasn't a great prospect. And it was like, he's a little kid. Leave him alone. Don't talk about him. He's just a kid. Why is everybody hyping him so much? Because you told us to, LeBron. That's why. Now you see his stats and like, should this guy be in the NBA draft after a season? Maybe he should stick around a little bit longer and, get a little bit better at basketball before he goes to the NBA, right? But no, he's going to come out here after averaging, 4.8 points a game, which isn't ideal.
Clutch points, though.
Yeah.
Then there's talks about where he's going to go in the draft.
he scores at the right time.
But he doesn't want to be known for being LeBron's son, which is insane, right? So you would think if you don't want to be known for being LeBron's son and just like an appendage of LeBron going wherever LeBron goes, then you'd go to any team that drafts you, right? No, because 10 teams invite you to work out, and you said, no, I'm not going to work out for 8 of them. In a league that you don't belong in, and you're only going to get into because of who your father is. But you don't want to be known for being your father's son. It's insane. I feel like yesterday we went beyond the whole, because there was talk out there, Dan, in the office about how they feel bad for Bronny. Feel bad for Bronny that he's going through all this. Why? Because his dad put him through this. His dad is getting him into the NBA, which he probably shouldn't be in. He's averaging 4.8 points in college.
First-round pick.
Why would he be a first-round pick in the NBA when you average 4.8 points? Why are you in a position to be turning down teams that want you to play for them when you average 4.8 points in college? And you've decided after 1 year, that's enough. I'm ready for the NBA.
Don't forget, he's 3 inches shorter than they told us.
That's
too.
another thing.
Yep.
That's another thing. I understand. I feel bad that he's 19 years old and he's going through this, but you're not making this any easier. Why are you doing this? Why don't you work out for everyone that wants you to work out for them? If you don't want to be just known as LeBron's son, go play for another team. Get drafted wherever you get drafted. Don't just pick your dad's team and your dad's friends' teams in Phoenix. What are you doing?
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that stuff because it seems as though LeBron and Rich Paul, the leverage is Phoenix, right? That's what they're angling for. It doesn't seem like Udonis has said he's flatly not leaving Los Angeles.
Ishbia is being used as a tool here as the radical owner who will do anything to get attention. And the friendship with Durant and playing with that transaction stuff. What do you mean LeBron could end up with Durant and Booker and everybody else? This was a purposeful leak. It's a strange story to come out that Bronny refuses to work for anybody in workouts except for the Lakers and Suns.
See, the weird thing is I think what Rich is doing is he's being an agent. He is trying to get his client the best possible situation. So he talked about, I believe he went on Cam and Mason's show and said, we're not doing a two-way deal. And he's saying that as an agent who does not think that that is in the best interest of his client for several reasons of the restrictions of the two-way deals. He has no problem playing the G League, but it's not going to be on a two-way deal. It's going to have to be on a full NBA salary.
Those are usually done with second-round picks, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I mean, but there are.
He doesn't want to do them. He wants them picked in the first round.
Well, no, there are second-round picks that do get full salaries that aren't two-way players. Rich is doing all of this because he's like, I'm trying to get the best options and scenarios for my client. The problem is his client is the son of his most famous and most powerful and best client. And so everything that happens to Bronny is seen through the lens of Uncle Rich and Daddy LeBron are trying to game the system, when the reality is this is what any agent would try to do for a player if they had the ability and the leverage to do it.
Should a player of his skill set be declining workouts?
But again, if my agent says to me, I can get you drafted in the first round, and we don't have to work out for all these
But
teams.
he's going to get drafted in the first round not because of him.
But it doesn't matter. Why would he? Why?
But if he wants to make himself independent from his father,
But
He doesn't, Billy.
He doesn't.
Right.
I hope Portland drafts him. I hope they draft him at 7. Your move, LeBron. You're going to go to Portland. I hope they draft him at 7.
Actually, you know what's funny?
I hope Pop drafts him at 8. Oh, LeBron, you always wanted to play for me? Now's
go
your chance,
there,
buddy.
maybe.
Come to San Antonio.
That's a good spot, though.
I'll tell you what
Bronny and Wemby.
the worst case scenario would be is that he gets drafted by Phoenix, because then LeBron's got a real tough decision.
I hope he goes to Utah.
I got to take minimum.
Hope he goes to Utah.
That's the only path to LeBron, right? A minimum
Or
contract.
either that or convince the Lakers, hey, so Bradley Beal.
I mean, you're only taking Bronny if indeed you want LeBron, right? Or if you think
And
LeBron's going to go there.
as a first
Otherwise,
round
you're
pick?
not taking Bronny.
As a first-round pick,
Yes,
sure. Yeah.
exactly.
But my point is, if Phoenix takes Bronny with a first-round pick, Phoenix is hopelessly capped out. So LeBron's got one of two decisions: either to find a way to hypnotize the Lakers into taking the poo-poo platter from Phoenix, or you could sign for minimum. You could come over here and just play for tens of millions of dollars under what your market value is. And then LeBron's got to make the decision, like, wait a second, how much do I love my son?
That's the thing. You need to test LeBron's love for his son right here. If you're one of these bad teams that's never going to get LeBron, you test his love for his son. And you test all this bull that he's been saying, oh, my dream is to play with my son. Really?
Yeah.
You want to play in Detroit with your son?
So you test
see.
LeBron, and you don't try to make your team better.
Exactly right.
I
Yeah.
love it.
You test his love for his son.
Don't you guys find it interesting that everyone's saying that this is one of the most, this is not a great NBA draft, right? Like, there's not a lot of great prospects in this draft, and yet this is like the big enigma of the draft, and this is going to be driving all the conversation. Are there any conspiracy theorists out there who think that this might be something that LeBron as well as the NBA have
Cooked up
to bring attention to a draft
It's a
that not many
perfect
people
story.
would care about?
I've heard worse theories.
It's a perfect story, and I'm surprised that it's such a perfect story that it has resident anarchist Billy Gill.
Orlando at 18 would be great. Oh, I hope you love Disney World, LeBron.
The playoff team.
That's going to be a great situation for LeBron.
LeBron James is not going to play for the Orlando
He
Magic.
didn't give the nod.
Let's
He
be
didn't.
very clear
Shaq
about this
did.
right
the
now.
Cavaliers.
Yeah, because
But
he
he's
was
from
born there.
Akron. I mean, if he were from Kissimmee, it'd be a different story.
And we told you. We
Kissimmee.
told you. Coach Bickerstaff is coaching for his job, and you guys laughed and scoffed at us when we told you that.
Monaco.
Kissimmee is a good comedic choice there as a word.
What's the difference between Kissimmee and St. Cloud? Because they're always paired together.
It's like Minneapolis, St. Paul, Twin Cities.
I've
It's
never
like Tampa
heard.
Bay and St.
Wait,
Petersburg.
what is the other city?
St. Cloud.
I've never
yeah.
heard of St.
The
Cloud in
lesser
my
of the
life.
two. Yeah. Anyway, sorry, Dan.
You guys go to Disney a lot.
I am
You know all the
surprised.
suburbs.
That is South Florida Cuban right there going to
Don't
Disney
get me started
a
on
lot.
Celebration.
You are normally
heard of
an
that.
anarchist, and you are sitting here rooting for the establishment.
I'm rooting for a family to fall apart, apparently.
that too.
We just have a Woj bomb that that plays into this conversation that we're having. David Fizdale is returning to the Phoenix Suns.
Wow. Fizz.
Smoke. Smoke. Smoke.
Oh, wow.
And you know what they say about when there's smoke? There's fire.
Smoke bomb.
You are normally an anarchist. I would think that you would enjoy somebody who otherwise doesn't have any value dictating to the system how it is it's going to go just because he's the son of somebody who's trying desperately to change the way the power dynamics work in the system.
If I'm going to be honest with you, it's really the Ethan of this all that drives me crazy. Because Ethan's out there telling me I should feel bad for Bronny. And no, buddy, I don't feel bad for Bronny. That's not what's going on here. Everybody's trying to make us feel bad for Bronny because he's in this impossible situation that he has put himself in. He's in this position because of him and his father. He shouldn't even be in this position. But we have to keep hearing about it because of a position he's put himself in. And then we're like, I don't know. This doesn't all seem to be adding up. It's like, whoa, don't, he's a kid. Don't say that. He's a kid. It's like, well, hold on a second. He should be interning somewhere. That's what 19-year-olds do. They intern somewhere. They get ready for their sophomore year of college, and they say, you know what? I don't know what I want to do with my life. That's what he should be doing at 19 years old.
You can intern for the Suns next year.
Yeah.
Get some minutes.
In the media relations department. Isn't it true, though, that Bronny is in the situation he's in because of his heart ailment, largely? The 4.8 is due to him missing most of the season, coming
it's an
back.
average.
Okay. He averaged 4.8.
Right.
It's not like they get all your points and they average it out amongst all the games and it combined and went down to 4.8.
Yeah, but the heart thing definitely affected his stats.
Okay, and he has since been medically cleared.
Yes.
Okay. Now, before the heart issue, before the 4.8, he was definitely considered a pro prospect.
Only by his
Before
father.
people watched him play.
Amin would always talk about the actual pro prospects, and they weren't as bullish.
Yeah,
Okay,
I mean,
but-
he was a well-recruited player, but he wasn't a blue chip. He wasn't like
He was a second or third round, right? He was a second round pick.
It's only 2 rounds.
Right. That's why I stopped.
Well, yes. I mean,
Save it up you.
you didn't stop
Third,
though at the right
third,
time. You
third,
stopped a
third,
couple of
third.
you stopped
Stu
a couple
Serkin.
of steps late.
Which,
there.
by the way, it's not his fault that he's not as good as his father, obviously.
Right.
Yeah,
Like,
I think that's
one
one of the
person might be.
reasons that
Right.
people feel
No, one
bad
person
because
is.
it would probably be very hard to be LeBron James's son. Even though I agree, Billy, a lot of this, LeBron himself has projected before his son was old enough to make his own decisions. So there's a lot of stuff that he's now kind of grown into. Even though he is technically an adult, he's still very, very young. And the guidance he's getting is largely from his father and the other agents and stuff that his dad knows. And maybe it's hard to make decisions independent of what other people in your family think if you're him.
He should be grateful. I mean, he should. That his dad is willing to do this for him. He is going to make a kid who is averaging 4.5 points per game, no business being a lottery pick in the NBA. He's going to make him a first-round pick.
Which, by the way,
what a great job. He should be dad of the year.
LeBron's opt-out 3 days after the draft is simply incredible. Because then he gets, do I want to go there? No. I'm going back to L.A.
He controls it.
The announcement that he's going to be a free agent was more muted than it normally is, but that the guy who is both the youngest player to ever make an all-NBA team and the oldest player to ever make an all-NBA team, that he still has this power that can just over on the side create both economy and interest around his son, where I'm guessing the majority of the audience, who is the name prospect by leaps and bounds that you know in this draft, a weak draft? Whether you like it or not, it's the son of LeBron James with just collateral interest on the side. Another clutch management economy of how do we create value over here for something that might not have value on the fumes of what LeBron is.
It's a good conspiracy theory if you think some people are in cahoots.
It's super interesting to think of the league needing to transition out of the LeBron years, and the way that it goes younger is by wondering, will he go to Phoenix and team up with Kevin Durant? And all of a sudden, basically Bronny becomes Giannis Antetokounmpo.
But hold on a second.
that's a fine.
The league has so many young stars. You don't need to rely on LeBron and Bronny to be getting the attention at this point. You should be focusing on the league.
I mean,
I agree, Billy.
I don't want to have the ratings conversation, but they're struggling to create new marquee stars.
They
That's
need
why
LeBron still.
there
the
is
John
like
Moran
a-
thing kind of caught them in a moment where we're like,
Yes.
wow, we were ready to make this guy the face of the league.
There is definitely the big blue button meme in NBA media where you slap the LeBron button and immediately there's amplified attention to whatever you're doing because he's the greatest player of all time.
You guys just weren't old enough to remember when Jordan retired. how thirsty
Which
the league
time?
was the second time.
Second time.
After 98, the league was desperate for, like, just give me something, anything.
The first time, too. They made Penny Penny was a great player.
Grant Hill.
Yeah.
But it's like
dying to make those guys.
But like the second time, because we really thought, like, the first time I was like, oh my God, he retired so early. The second time I was like, oh yeah, this is it. He just ended it on the perfect, hit the shot. It's it. That's it. He's not coming back. And so this search for anything was so severe. And then what ends up happening is he comes back a couple years later, plays for the Wizards, and this is right after 9/11. It's like Michael Jordan is going to save us from 9/11 like economy dips, right? And by the way, he did. The team that led the league in road attendance that season was the Washington Wizards, even though they were terrible. This is where LeBron is headed. He's going to be like a traveling man. He's going to end up playing for like 17 different teams, just saving the league on attendance and ratings alone.
I just want to be clear. Did you say he saved us from 9/11?
It's what it sounded.
No. The economy. Help bring the
economy and the
despair.
aftermath.
LeBron,
No, but you know,
Jordan brought the economy.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show. You could say
Everyone
saved
knows.
us from, like Jordan saved us from 9/11. Just go ahead, run with it, and say it happened in Monaco.
Yeah. Everyone knows it was the George W. Bush pitch.
Right.
I thought it was the drive.
Full
Now
two-seamer.
watch this drive.
That was heat right down the middle.
Man, honestly, we've talked about it before. When you consider the pressure, that is one of the greatest athletic feats I've ever seen.
No doubt.
Top 5 athletic presidents in history.
I wanted this segment to offer Stugotz a hearty mazel tov because Tariq Cohen has become a New York Jet for a year, but he has gone outside to smoke a celebratory heater, and he is not here to enjoy and share my congratulations. I do want to ask the room about the New York Jets. What's the best story for Aaron Rodgers this year? Him being great or him being terrible?
I was going to say The Lord of the Rings, but then you started saying Aaron Rodgers. Yeah. I reread The Fellowship of the Ring this weekend.
Really?
Started The Two Towers yesterday again. Doing a big reread. Ring of Power coming back in August. The best story about Aaron Rodgers, I mean, I think it just depends, Dan. I think Jets fans are like, this has got to be it, right? Like, something's got to happen this year. But all the people that don't like Aaron Rodgers thought last year was the best story because he got hurt after like 3 snaps.
So I'm asking all of, not just Jets fans, I'm asking everybody, the best thing that can possibly happen from a content perspective.
He tears his other Achilles running out to the field with an American flag would be funny just because that would be the lasting image. And it's not funny to the person so much as it is to the franchise. Me personally, I want to see Aaron Rodgers play well.
I think him being great is the best story.
I want to see him play well outside of Green Bay. Look at what a big deal he was last year. A lot of it's because of some of the ridiculous things that he said, most of it anyways. But I would like to see that franchise have Aaron Rodgers be great in that uniform. Time's ticking down here. Like, this might be his last season, for real. And I haven't seen him be great in about a year and a half, and I want to see him be great again on the field.
I heard Tom Bombadil was going to be in the new season of Rings of Power, which is really exciting because he wasn't in the Fellowship of the Ring. They cut that entire chapter, those 2 chapters, really out of the movies. But he's a lot of people's favorite character. And a lot of people were talking about on Twitter last week. It was like a Twitter prompt. It was like, who are 2 people that matched each other's freak? And Tom Bombadil and Goldberry was my vote because those 2, they're just out there in the woods, eating dinner, running around, talking to trees, singing songs. I mean, total freaks. I love them.
He doesn't actually have to be great. That defense was really fun to watch, and the quarterback put them in really bad positions. If he's just okay, it might be good enough. I also don't watch porn.
If you're a person that doesn't like Aaron Rodgers and you root for bad things to happen to him for whatever reason, is it funnier if he gets hurt again or if he's just bad? Like, he's healthy the entire season and just is bad.
Yeah, I think that's the option. That's the option you want. Because make no mistake about it, Aaron Rodgers being great and leading the Jets to the Super Bowl is only a good story in New York to Jets fans. To the rest of the country, I think there's Aaron Rodgers fatigue. I think we're all rooting against the guy. I think he's a blowhard. I think he's just
the reasons that you outlined are why he's also garnered a lot of support from people that don't necessarily like follow football all that passionately. Like he is held up by a lot of people because he espouses the virtues that they believe in.
I think the perfect start is give them a good hot start. Maybe first 5-6 weeks of the season, Jets fans get real excited, and then it all crumbles.
I don't know what Pornhub is. Someone had to explain it to me.
There are a number of things here that can be interesting about this. Him being excellent at this age, just because LeBron and Taurasi and Serena Williams and some people and Tom Brady of some age have shown us that a different result could be possible. At any other point in human history other than now, we'd be declaring Aaron Rodgers at this age done. Quarterbacks can't play that position well into their 40s. The idea of the Jets swallowing his excellence is super interesting, but him getting his voice amplified when making choices that have resulted in a marketing meeting where State Farm got together and said, you know what, I know we've been using Aaron Rodgers as our commercial spokesman, but we're going to have to go to the Lopez brothers now because what's working with Aaron Rodgers is palatable and safe to all of America. We're going to have to pull that. For him to go from the choices he's made to basically shredding what used to be his identity as a careful quarterback who wouldn't say the things that he's presently saying. If he were also to be great in New York, it would capture the league by storm.
Chris mentioned Aaron getting off to a hot start and things falling apart. Now, they start out in San Francisco. If they win that game, obviously that's huge, but they could drop that one. Then they're at Tennessee. That should be a win. They're versus New England. New England's kind of in disarray. That one should be a win. Versus Denver, you think that one's a win.
3-1,
versus Minnesota, probably a win there.
4-1.
Then they host Buffalo. Now, Buffalo, that's a statement game there. Week 6 versus Buffalo, that's a big measuring stick game for Aaron and the Jets.
That's where I want the peak to be.
Really?
I want that to be. I
want
them
to
be
win that game.
Win that game. Be 5-1 after Monday Night Football. Jets fans feeling themselves, and then the down. Then,
okay.
well,
then they head to Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh by week 7, I think we've already penciled in a quarterback controversy because when you have 2 quarterbacks, you don't have one. Then you're off to New England. That's a win. Then you host the Texans. That one could be interesting. Week 9, Halloween night on a Thursday Night Football versus Houston. Toss-up probably. Then you head out to Arizona for Week 10. That's a Sunday game. Then you host the Colts in Week 11. Then your bye week is Week 12. Great bye week. Week 12 bye week is good in the NFL. Dolphins, I believe, a Week 6 bye week. Bad bye. You don't want it that early. Come back. Week 13.
Who's got a minor penalty for derailing?
What's this? Chris hit off around the sounder, it sounds like.
No,
so
you got 2 minutes for derailing, for insisting
13,
on doing one. They won this
wins
one,
and
they
losses,
lost this one. Yeah, get out.
Versus the Seahawks.
Good news, Brazzers has a free trial.
I'll be back.
Thank you. Don't threaten us.
Genesis is in there.
Go ahead
Wait.
and
Can I go to the penalty box?
fire off. No.
Monaco. That was so stupid when you did that, Dan. That was so embarrassing.
Nope. You can.
I thought Ring of Power season 1 was really good. I'm trying to derail someone, please. Give me a penalty. My back.
Stat of the day music, please.
Start of the day, start of the day. It is your start of the day. Start of the day, start of the day. It is your start of the day. Start of the day, start of the day. It is your start of the day. Start of the day, start of the day. It is the start of the day.
So the Jets host the Dolphins on
Billy mentioned
December
the Vikings,
8th at
and
1.
ML Football has this stat that surprised me. Two-time champion Eli Manning in his career threw more touchdown passes to the Vikings in games played against the Vikings than he did against the Vikings. Threw more touchdown passes to the Vikings than he threw to the Giants while playing against the Vikings.
Huh.
That's a bit hard to believe. Wouldn't you say that there would be more pick sixes that he had in Vikings games than touchdown passes? I wanted to ask you, since your back, Stu, got smelling like cigarettes, as it relates to the Jets. We were talking about what the better story is.
Oh.
And I believe that Aaron Rodgers elevating the Jets out of their lifetime of incompetence is a better story than the Jets just dragging down the end of Aaron Rodgers' career like they dragged down the rest of everybody's career. It would be amazing to see in that division where that team has been the worst in the history of that division.
Yes.
There are fewer division titles there than the Colts have in that division. I don't know if the Oilers a million years ago also won more somehow in that division. But him lifting them from the muck, we were talking about whether the story would be better. Jessica was arguing for Jets fans it would be better. I think it's better for football, and I think it's better for people's interest in football, just generally, if the Jets are good because Aaron Rodgers makes them good.
How about this show? Like, what's the best result for this show? It's Aaron getting hurt early, right? You guys would laugh at me.
I don't want to do that.
No?
That we've done it already. It was done as well and as funny as it can be done.
Yeah.
To me, at this point, it would be redundant.
I mean, if it happens twice.
A second time, Dan?
I don't want
the same exact thing happens.
Story.
I'm not,
Other leg.
Three plays
come
in.
on.
I mean,
That's not
Come
a good
on.
story. It's not a good story.
I mean, that show after is pretty hilarious.
Dan, the exact same
The
number of
exact
plays,
same
the
thing.
opposite
4
leg.
snaps.
it'd be a good story.
Yeah.
It's a
Pretty
fun
good.
story.
The stuff
Yeah,
he's
it's pretty
saying
good.
is like legitimately crazy.
That's
like
correct.
Has to be said.
It is super offensive and crazy.
That's right.
Yes.
Him making more of a platform, more of a mess, more relevance because he gets more of a voice to do these other things because football gives him a voice. I'm not saying it's good. I'm just talking as a story by itself. I don't think it's good for the country. I'm just talking about the interest around football.
Them being good would be a great story.
Part of the
for...
story is that he said that the government created AIDS on a podcast.
Oh no, I know. Listen, he's not the most likable fellow in the world. I get it. I understand that. I'm having a hard time, getting myself to root for Aaron Rodgers.
I don't believe that.
Well, you're right.
I don't believe that.
You had every reason to say that and question me. I was lying. I am rooting for Aaron Rodgers, but Dan is right because it's a New York team. They've been terrible forever. Aaron Rodgers against Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs would be something that everyone would get excited about.
Or just in the regular season. Every
Right.
time that they've teased us with a potential matchup, one of the two has been injured. Imagine all the people that went to the secondary market looking for tickets and weren't able to get because the demand was so high. Well, I know a place where you can actually get tickets on that secondary market, even if the demand is high. And that place is Game Time, guys. Yeah, Game Time.
Do they have anything for Week 15 Jets at Jaguars?
I guarantee you they do, but
That's
you
a
may want
win.
to. But sometimes if you wait up closer to the actual event, you'll get these crazy flash deals on the Game Time app. Yeah, I want you right now listening to my voice to create an account and use the code DAN, that is DAN, and you will get $20 off your first purchase. Wow. I've used this promo code. I'm itching to find other promo codes because I'm on Game Time so much. Terms apply, last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. That part is important because if you find a cheaper ticket out there, they will match and then some over at Game Time. Great customer service. Love you, Game Time.
The thing that you're articulating, Jessica, about whether it would be good for America or not, more division ain't good for America. More platforming of insanity is not good for America. But I'm strictly looking at this as a football story. Like, what is the best result that is going to attract the most interest? We could do one show off of him getting injured again. Him making that team relevant and furthering his own platform while making it relevant, I'm not rooting for it, but it would be the more interesting story.
The best story is Jets-Packers Super Bowl, and Jordan Love outplays Aaron Rodgers, and they win the game.
The podcast that Greg Cote does, and we celebrate it here every week, and he thanks our listeners for their giant support of what it is that he's doing, the Greg Cote Show featuring Greg Cote. He often shows dangerously bad judgment. So when he comes in here and tells me, I want to talk about something that we talked about on our podcast, and he frames it as, I'd like to make fun of an illness that is funny because of what it's named. I get scared. I don't want to do that without any proper vetting.
Well, give it a shot.
Well, I see all.
Right.
Yes, I'm not surprised that fear sweeps through the room, and then you immediately emerge and are like, "Yeah, sure, talk about whatever Greg Cote is talking about that makes fun of serious illness."
And we're live.
We've made fun of Ligma for years, Dan, on this show.
He's just saying hear him out. That's all.
Yeah.
Okay, but I think there's the danger in bad judgment is that once you hear it
Right,
out, you
yeah.
cause the problems that you can't then correct if this hasn't been properly
correct.
vetted.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I'm
Vetting, schmetting.
Exactly right.
Yeah, I mean,
Then the
vetting,
pepper happened, and that became
You
the whole
know,
thing.
core vetting is more like it.
Right.
I wouldn't worry about vetting this. I would just trust my judgment.
I mean, he did talk about it on the Greg Cote show,
he's here.
he didn't
Yeah.
get fired or anything.
Right.
So.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
who would fire him?
I do like to say mumps.
I would fire myself.
Would you?
I think I might if I said the wrong thing.
You Yeah.
wouldn't.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm very sensitive.
I don't think
And
so.
then what would you do? Would you pull yourself into the office, have a sit down, Greg? We got to talk.
Yes.
Yeah.
I wouldn't fire myself. I would suspend myself for 3 days so that I would be back in time to
No,
do
you
the next
say
episode.
indefinitely.
Right. How about
And then
3 podcasts?
Indefinitely,
Not 3
right.
You
days.
say indefinitely a
Right.
week later.
And
yeah.
would you understand as being the one getting suspended by yourself? Would you understand?
I would be very upset at first, and then
Yeah.
I would forgive myself.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I suppose.
I would. Yeah.
There are some funny named diseases and ailments. I think we can agree. My mom had a brain tumor that was named after Sonic the Hedgehog.
There you go. See?
Huh?
You can look that
See?
up.
That's
Still
a
feel-
first-person
See?
I
experience.
still feel awkward laughing about that, though.
She had a brain tumor called a Sonic Hedgehog brain tumor. It's objectively funny.
That is funny.
It's funny. And if you're the medical community getting together saying, what should we name this? And that's what came up on my podcast.
More funny names.
The great Celine Dion. Okay, the great Celine Dion suffers from a malady
Hold on.
that
Hear 'em out.
involves.
No,
you
this
Hear
know,
him
is
out, Tim. This is
horrible.
the hearing
No,
out
this one's bad.
phase.
I
Yeah.
might
This is
jump off the
horrible.
Greg
This
raft.
is
This is the
horrible.
vetting. This is the
Where did you say
vetting.
Vetting.
Genesis
We're
was?
vetting.
Here we will then
This
tell
is-
him if
I
it's
don't-
okay or
I
not
don't want-
okay.
I don't want to be around during this.
Okay,
This is not great.
What is
it's a
ligma?
malady. Look, I did the limbo, bending over backward, to say I am not making fun of this disease or people who suffer from it, because it is an incurable disease having to do with the joints, and it gets worse and worse over
It sounds
time.
like a horrible
The
prison.
limbo's like a
Correct.
weird
Yeah.
reference to pull also
Thank you.
concerning this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, anyway.
You're welcome.
Okay, and I'm just wondering, the medical community at some point got together and said, what should we call this disease that affects people's joints? And what they came up with, which struck me as funny, was stiff person syndrome.
I regret this so much.
I mean, stiff person syndrome. You know,
Why
the-
would I ever follow
the
Billy?
sim- the
anywhere?
Let's not let.
Why
Look,
would
we
I
heard him
ever
out. Let's
follow
not.
him?
Let's not go down
Oh,
this
now,
path.
thank you.
Symptom is
We
Stop
heard him out.
listening. Yeah, stop
This is the vetting.
Billy,
Let's
Greg,
not go
Billy
down this path.
and Greg Cote, both of you go
There
sit in the
had to
penalty
be a better
box.
name
I don't want
for
to.
this
I
malady.
don't want to hear him out anymore.
We're not
I'm-
going to.
I'm-
We said no more. We're going to go a different
No,
path on this
go.
one. Greg, I think you should send yourself to the penalty box. Have a conversation with yourself.
You know what? I
You
might do
wronged.
that.
I
I might do that.
Got a minor penalty, 2 minutes for ruining comedy.
I think the rule is yourself or an immediate family member has to have stiff person
that
syndrome.
helps.
When
That
you
helps.
did it, it worked because you had.
I didn't know he was gonna go with Celine Dion, especially after that video just came out where she was. I think there's a documentary about her coming out, and it just seemed what she's going through seems horrible.
horribly sad.
And I just saw that trailer a few days ago, and now Greg comes in with this, and it doesn't feel the same as me laughing about Sonic the Hedgehog.
I feel like if Celine had watched this, she'd smile.
I
and be
love that
like,
Greg put you all in this spot.
He's harmless.
He's gone. You're still like.
We fell for it.
it's not falling for it. If somebody were to go back, I encourage people who are listening to the very start of this show on YouTube to listen to the first time Billy spoke on today's show, because about 4 or 5 minutes in, he decided to get in, and it was just to keep the balloon in the air on supporting Greg Cote on something that couldn't be supported. It is
that should
what,
be an Olympic game, by the way. Keepy uppy, Chris. I feel like we could be on a team in the Olympics. Just keep the balloon up.
It is what he does, Billy does with the entirety of his career. It's what he has dedicated himself to.
Supporting things that shouldn't
that
be supported.
can't be supported.
Sometimes it floats away. You kick it with a big toe.
And sometimes it explodes and the entire company descends into the sewage.
You know what? The one thing that I have to say about stiff person syndrome, it's a very serious malady, and there are variations of it. I'm suffering from stiff person syndrome right now.
I don't.
The trailing baby.
I mean, he just made an erection joke. Like, that's the last thing that you heard.
It's an erection year, Dan.
Yeah.
No, if you go to the penalty box instead of me, I'm going to kick your ass.
No,
buddy.
you can stay there for It's an Erection Year. I'm not kicking you out for that. Chris is just trying to signal his dad on how not to ruin comedy, and his dad isn't taking any of the cues.
Well, I mean, look, there's a nickname for stiff person syndrome, and it's called erectile function syndrome. So, baby!
All right, just get him out of here.
That'll be all with that.
Just get him out of here. Just terrible judgment all around.
I'm sorry.
Are you? Are you?
I am.
No, because you and Billy spend all of your Tuesdays here. You do. It is true.
What do you
It
mean?
is true. You, Billy, and Cody exist to make my Tuesdays a lot harder than they should be and threaten the company from every angle.
Speaking of harder, what?
He doesn't know how to play with the show. You can't orchestrate the comedy. You can't teach him how to do it. You just got to sit back and watch him fail.
No, it's like
and
he's
flail.
already been really offensive, and they want him to make a more offensive joke, but he doesn't want to go there.
We found
even
the
though
line.
Oh, did you?
He already went there.
Finally.
You finally found it. I want to check in here, and this is bad judgment by me, but go ahead and hand that microphone over to Taylor, please, because I don't want to do this anymore with Greg Cote. I do want to go to Taylor because I am told that he has a top 5 list that includes some observations, having golfed with the Cotes this weekend, some observations that might not be offensive, that might be funny, endearing, and illuminating about what it is to spend time with the father-son tandem of Greg and Chris Cote. What do you think is going to be revealed here, Stugotz?
I'm not certain, but as you said, Taylor did play golf with Greg and Chris Cote on Sunday. I have played golf with both of them at the same time. It's a hoot. It is. It's fun. Like Greg Cote on the golf course is a lot of fun. But I can't imagine what Taylor took down as his top 5 observations of Greg Cote playing golf, because all my observations are good ones.
Before we get to Taylor doing this, Chris and Greg, what are you fearing here from having played golf with Taylor? Observing you two in the wild is pretty funny. You guys have interesting father-son chemistry.
He got the full experience. Like, I kind of don't want to get into what some of the stuff he did because I feel like it might be on his list. But my dad, like, I know my dad has his things on the golf course, and he played the hits for Taylor. Taylor got the full experience. Uncle Dick was out there.
Oh, wow. What a round.
Yeah.
What a foursome.
Yes.
And Uncle Dick can bring out the worst in me, believe me.
Talk about erection.
But I'm worried what Taylor's going to say, because golf, for some reason, I think it's because it frustrates me so much. I want to be always better than I am. And so golf tends to bring out the worst in me in a lot of ways. So,
And the alcohol.
well, you know, that kind of thing, huh?
Taylor, are we setting this up with OLI, or what do you have here? Do you just want to go straight to the top 5?
Straight into the top 5.
All right. And these are just observations from golfing with the Cotes?
With Greg, specifically.
Greg? Okay, Greg. It's more. So does his son even
He
need
wasn't
to be
observing
there?
anyone
It's just
else.
okay. It's
Yes.
just
Pars
Greg.
aren't interesting.
Is Uncle Dick making an appearance here? Or it's just featuring
Mostly
Greg.
some feuds between Greg and Chris.
Okay. Yes, there are a lot of those that break out. Number 5, Taylor.
Hearing an "Oh f- me" live after Greg shanks a shot. It was magical.
It's a staple.
I'm not denying it.
So seeing
ASMR.
seeing one live. Yeah.
Oh, no. Go.
You're okay.
Go.
You're all right.
I meant to play that last part. My bad.
Number
You're
4.
getting one of those a hole.
Number 4.
Greg keeping score and getting mad at Chris for saying par and not a number.
It's one of the most annoying things my dad does. Like, hey, it's a par 4. After the hole, I say par. He's like, what is it? A 4? It's like,
Give me a number.
It's on the
I don't want to look at
scorecard.
a scorecard. I don't resort to looking at a scorecard. Just say 4 so I don't have to go back to my cart
Right.
and look at a scorecard and figure
Too
out
much.
what hole
I mean,
this
you're
hole.
writing it on the scorecard.
Yeah.
It's right in front of you.
Okay, to say 4 and to say par is the same amount of effort.
Yep.
It's one syllable.
He's right.
So when the scorekeeper is asking you, what'd you get that hole? Just give me a numeral. That's all. It's exhausting.
You seem tired. You're reacting as if you're tired of this from your son. Your son's not changing it at this point.
This is not a first. Would you? And he rubs it in by saying the word par, by the way.
That's why he's
You
saying
know,
it.
I mean, I get 1 par a month. He gets 7 around. And so you're subtly rubbing it in by saying par.
I'm just saying par. That's
All
what
right,
I'm doing.
Just say 3 or 4 or 5. That's all you got to say.
You're really mad about this.
It's annoying. Golf brings out the worst in me. I admit that. And I apologize ahead of time for whatever these next
That's
three
what
are
you're
gonna be.
apologizing for in this segment?
Well, he should be apologizing because I ask him every single round, could you just give me a number, please, instead of saying par, birdie,
being so stiff.
bogey.
Number 3.
Greg saying if he gets a hole-in-one on the par 3, we have to stop the round for an emergency Greg Cote show with Greg Cote.
Yeah. An emergency episode. I say that because it's never going to happen. It's never going to happen. I've been playing golf for 40 years, 30 years, and it hasn't happened yet, so why should
Just
it
hold up. So what you're saying is if you make a hole-in-one, you're telling Chris he's got to go back to the house and bring back the equipment so that you guys can do at that hole the live hole-in-one coverage emergency podcast.
Yeah, while 150 golfers are queued up waiting because we're on the green for an hour and a half.
Number 2.
If you don't give Greg a putt he thinks is a gimme, he'll hold it against you for the rest of the round.
Oh, my God. I can't believe there's one better than that. That is the pet peeve. If I'm standing over a putt that's 1.5 feet
Right.
and nobody is giving me a gimme.
You measured it with your putter.
Okay, so I was 2 inches over. You can't do me a solid? I mean, and then if I have to putt and I miss the putt,
Right.
oh, my God.
But then it wasn't a gimme if you missed
It
it.
should have been. Should have been a gimme.
But if
That's
you
why they call it a gimme, because
Yes.
you're giving somebody something.
Yes.
It's death, taxes, and my dad walking off a green, huffing and puffing, saying, I'm not giving out any more gimmies.
And I'm
no
not.
more gimmies.
I won't give out. You could be on the lip of the cup, and I'm going to make you make that 1/4-inch putt. I'm no
If
more
they don't
gimmies.
give you one, right?
Right,
Right.
yes.
Then you're not giving them one.
Done.
Correct. I love you.
Right.
Number 1.
Greg playing a hole complaining that his glove feels uncomfortable, only to realize it was on the wrong hand.
There was one.
Oh, my God. That did happen.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz podcast.